Sucks.
It's not as bad as The Last Stand.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's better.
I'm gonna take your word for it because it's been a long time since I watched Last Stand.
Last Stand is awful.
Hi. We're gonna talk about Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's my turn to get mad. Fuck this movie.
I mean,
I think I probably hated this more than you did.
I think you cared more.
Yeah.
Because, remember, I don't know if you remember when I went through the whole thing of, like, trying to figure out how I felt about this when it was coming.
Yeah.
But I may have done my whole rant about the original X-Men movies and the trilogy and basically, like, how that all went down. And the crux of it is basically the fact that the camera moved.
Oh God! Like I said, it's a really shitty car. All right. We're gonna see if I can roll down the windows.
Oh,
yeah, it's a shitty car.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. Maybe.
Shitty cars. No. Everyone should know my poverty.
Okay, sure. Patreon is
so please, for the love of God, this out.
We'll earn it. We promise.
Yeah.
I'm trying to come more consistently to these, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Jar's coming along really nicely too. So that's
good. No, the AMC Stubs Pass really helps.
For sure.
Not spend $80 a week.
I mean, I guess we should talk briefly about how we thought about the other X-Men movies.
Yeah, I guess because
even when this movie was coming out, I wasn't like one of the people that was like, "Oh my God, this looks like the worst thing ever." I was like, "Okay, it doesn't look great, but I'm willing to give it a chance."
Look, okay, so we had the original X-Men movies, which, for their time, were fucking revolutionary.
They have not aged particularly well.
No, but for their time,
yeah,
they were absolutely very important pieces of filmmaking. Without the original X-Men movie, I don't think we would have even gotten, like, the Spider-Man movies.
Weren't they made at the same time?
Ish.
Yeah.
But the X-Men movies came first, I'm pretty sure. The big thing, though, is I really don't think we would have gotten the Dark Knight series if we hadn't gotten the original X-Men movies.
Yeah, that's a reasonable argument.
X1 and X2 were the movies where basically they took a wide cast of characters and actually had them all pretty decently fleshed out and had mature themes and plots throughout them. It was a comic book movie that wasn't just dumb comic book action and, silly, this very basic comic book stuff like the previous Batman movies, or even the Superman movies. Oh, God. Meteor Man.
Or Catwoman.
Jesus. Oh, no, that came after.
Yeah, that was in development hell for years.
But they were made by Bryan Singer.
The Phantom. We wouldn't have the Phantom.
Oh, God, just stop. This is back before Bryan Singer had been discovered to be, like, a diddler of children. But, his filmmaking prowess is still solid. I've spoken to a couple people who don't like Bryan Singer's style of filmmaking.
Which I get that.
Fair, but at the same time, the style worked.
Yeah.
And it worked better than anything that had come before it. And X1 and X2 were really fascinating movies because we just never really had superhero movies being taken seriously up till that point.
What about Keaton Batman?
You take that as seriously?
In a way.
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't count it at all. Fuck Tim Burton. Fuck Tim Burton.
Okay.
Fuck Tim Burton. Fuck the first Batman movie. I don't give a shit what anyone says. It's a terrible fucking Batman movie.
Okay.
No, fuck it. Batman Returns, better. But the original Batman movie is just overhyped the fuck out just because, Tim Burton's, like, Hot Topic goth style and Jack Nicholson being the Joker, like his version of the Joker, I really don't see it as that iconic. I just think it was a product of its time. I don't think it's a quality product.
I still like it personally, but that's
Sure, it's schlock, maybe. It feels more like the 50s Batman show. Like, it's really not Batman. It's basically what 80s Hollywood thought Batman was. Whereas Batman Returns felt more like a refinement of that and a darker take on that. Like, the original Batman movie just isn't that good, in my opinion.
fair enough.
But regardless, the X-Men movies, the first two, were pretty great. And I grew up watching the X-Men cartoons on Fox.
Yeah.
You know, like those were amazing. They had like...
Mine was X-Men Evolution. That's when I used to watch a lot when I was a kid.
They had like 10-episode plot lines.
They did.
Like in a kid's show. It just wasn't... It was unheard of for the early 90s. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was all that. And coming from, you know, a childhood where I watched things like the Stanley Hour and I saw the Iron Man and Fantastic Four cartoons, like seeing movies that just really reduced the concept of superheroes to such a simple, basic archetype was, you know, was boring to me. Mm-hmm. And seeing the X-Men movies really try to pursue something bigger and wider was super cool, and I was really excited about it. And I still remember at the end of X2 seeing the Phoenix under the water after Jean Grey died and just being really fucking excited. I was hyped.
And Last Stand.
No. And then Superman Returns. Because Bryan Singer had been wanting to make a Superman movie for his whole fucking life.
Yeah, Superman Returns.
So they offered him the chance to do it, and he was like, yeah! Which was a mistake.
Yeah, no,
and
like
that aside, I don't think anyone did.
There's a few people out there.
That aside, there's always a few people. A few people like Suicide Squad.
Point taken.
Not saying Batman Returns, Superman Returns is as bad as Suicide Squad. But anyway.
Well, I mean, Superman Returns doesn't have belly dancing villains, so I think that's a point for Suicide Squad. I'm totally kidding. Don't bite my head off.
I'm not. I can't even laugh about that. It's so bad. But what happened was that he told, I think it was Fox, because he went to Universal to do Superman, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he told
no
Fox...
No WB.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
He told Fox, like, hang on, give me, like, a year to make this movie, and I'll come back and I'll make the next X-Men movie.
And they said no.
And, of course, studio execs were like, no, we gotta make it now. Franchise. So, what happens? They gave it to...
Brett Ratner.
Brett fucking Ratner.
Yep. And then X-Men 3 happened.
Fucking Brett Ratner. And some dude whose writing credits up to that point had been Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Triple X State of the Union. The one with Ice Cube. Not even the original Triple X. Like, State of the Union. All right, cool. So they gave it to him, and we got X3, which basically did my least favorite thing in filmmaking, which is basically what happened in the last season of Game of Thrones. You took people who liked the franchise and liked the movies and liked the characters for the surface level reasons.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the nuance. They don't understand the intricacies that make the characters what they are. And when you kill characters in those movies, it feels completely unearned. When you kill Professor X, and I feel nothing, absolutely nothing, you have failed entirely. When you have two movies of excellent character building and bonding and relationship building, like to have a third movie where he dies and you just don't feel anything, you're just sitting there like, this is stupid. That's bad. That's really bad. And that's how I felt about this whole movie. It had a fucking Dragon Ball Z battle between fucking Pyro and Iceman. It had the fucking I'm the Juggernaut bitch line.
Oh, God.
Like,
yeah.
Are you Jesus Christ. It had fucking Mystique having her powers taken away. And then being abandoned by Magneto because... Why? She's not a mutant anymore? That doesn't... I don't know if that's ever happened in the comics, but that doesn't really make sense to me from a character standpoint. Like, at the very least, she would be a human who could, like, understand their struggles, and then all of a sudden she turns on the principles she's had for her entire life and tries to doom her entire, like, side of the species to death by betraying them to the government, like, in the next scene. Just... It's endlessly terrible, and it was offensive, and to the point where, God, there's a ball kicking joke. There's a villain who keeps regrowing limbs.
Oh yeah,
and,
forgot about that.
And Wolverine keeps on cutting his arms off.
And then he just kicks him in the
nuts. And he kicks him in the balls, and the guy goes, ooh, and falls down, and Wolverine goes, regrow those. Is this written by a fucking 12-year-old?
I mean, it's not the worst line in the movie. The worst line in that movie is, "I don't answer to my slave name."
Oh God. Yeah, let's take the subtle exploration of oppression themes, and instead of just exploring the things that make them wrong in a different context, let's actually like reference slavery.
Yeah, make it over
and ignore all the actual intellectual conversation that's going on in this movie. So all that's fucking terrible. And of course, at the very end, you have Jean Grey fucking about to kill everybody, and Wolverine walking towards her as parts of him keep being like sloughed off by this force from her. And she goes up to him. No, he goes up to her, and she says, "You would die for them?" And he says, "No, for you. I would die for you." And then stabs her. And,
I will say there is a moment in Dark Phoenix that is definitely worse.
Hang on. I haven't seen this in 15 years, and I remember all of that shit. Okay? That's how fucking burned in my mind this disappointment is. And Bryan Singer was planning a 7-film series to have the whole Dark Phoenix arc. It was going to be a fucking massive event on the scale of the fucking Harry Potter series. Like, that was the plan. And Brett fucking Ratner took it and made it into this atrocity of an hour-and-a-half thing. And oh God, it's one of the few things that makes me physically angry to talk about in movies. So we're gonna move on in a minute.
I can tell.
Because of this, I didn't fucking watch the Wolverine movies. I didn't give a shit. Even Logan, even though I know it's really good, it just doesn't seem like my kind of movie.
Fair enough. I would say as far the was it Goldman? No, Marigold. Whoever the director of that one is.
Mason Goldman. Something like that.
With gold.
He's a good director, and I expect that it's a good movie. I don't doubt that at all.
See, like
I just don't think it's something that I feel like connecting with.
See, if I had to say like any of these X movies were the worst, it'd probably be the first Wolverine movie.
Oh yeah, X-Men Origins
Wolverine was god awful, and it probably still stands as the worst X movie to date.
Well, I think that's because it came on the heels of X3.
Well, it's more like again, you didn't watch it though.
No, I know, but I'm saying that the just from a studio perspective, the way that the franchise progressed, the fact that they made X3 and it ended up making so much money because of a big stupid action movie, and they'd taken it out of the hands of Bryan Singer, they were like, fuck it, let's make the Wolverine movie. People like Wolverine because he fucks shit up, not because he's a good, complex look into the mind of someone who is basically immortal and has severe PTSD and trouble connecting with people and has to watch everyone he loves grow old and die. Like, yeah, let's ignore everything about his character that makes him a character. He has fucking knives on his wrists, on his fucking hands. Let's have him run around and let's have him take down a fucking helicopter. Yeah. That's trailer money shot.
Again, even then, like, they could have done that and still make it work.
They could have, but they didn't care.
They didn't. No,
they got rid of everybody who gave a shit. Like, you can see people. I remember specifically at the end of The Last Stand where it goes to Ian McKellen, who is an incredible actor, celebrated and awarded over his career, like, you know, and he delivers the most wooden line when he realizes his attempt to harness Jean Grey was mistaken, and he looks up and he goes,
"What have I done?
Oh no, what have I done?" Like, it is the most fucking terrible line delivery he's ever done, and you can tell the fight's just gone out of him at that point. Like, it's just like everyone else in that movie, they're just doing their fucking jobs. It's not a good movie anymore.
We'll talk about that with Dark Phoenix too.
we'll get to that. So we had X-Men Origins Wolverine, we had The Wolverine, which...
Well, hold on, let me go back to X-Men Origins for a bit, because there's two things to talk about. Mostly, you have to talk about the Ryan Reynolds thing.
the fact that Ryan Reynolds has been so dedicated to the idea of eventually being Deadpool
that he signed up for this shit.
Yeah, he signed up for the version of Deadpool that they put in the movie, which was like... There's a preliminary version of him which couldn't talk. Yeah, let's get the merc with a mouth and sew his mouth shut.
Yeah, I was like, make perfect sense. Like, make a Mortal Kombat villain. That would work out great. He even had like Katana Blade or Baraka
just
blades.
In case that character got spun off into something else, he signed up. Just in case.
I mean, he got blackmailed into doing it too. It's like,
did he?
It basically said like, if you do not do this movie, we will never make a Deadpool movie. Is basically what they said.
Oh my god.
And then the Deadpool footage leaked.
No, I remember
the
that.
internet. And then
But yeah, all,
it's like, people
all this other
want
stuff,
this? Okay.
all this other stuff, like, goddamn.
Yeah, it was a fucking
So-
mess. And then the Wolverine, which I actually like. Okay,
I heard good things about
I think
it.
2/3 of it are really good. I think the last third is where it really kind of falls apart.
I still haven't seen it.
I think it's fine. I think it's worth a rental.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, and also it's directed by the same guy who made Logan. So
Yeah,
you know
and then, of
there's at
course,
least a
Logan
higher
came
level of
along,
filmmaking chops.
Logan came
and
along,
Logan, which is barely an X-Men movie.
Yeah, but that was kind of appreciated though, because we're kind of
That's
got
fine.
X-Men out.
Exactly. Also, you had it be a movie where normal people could go see it and be like, "This is just a good movie."
And yeah, it was basically just The Road, but with mutants.
Yeah.
and it kind of worked. And like, it was Hugh Jackman's best performance as the character. Is Patrick Stewart's best performance as Professor X, quite frankly.
Yeah, it was a movie which was a lot smaller and more focused on a specific couple of characters. And I haven't even seen it, and I can understand these things.
Yeah.
Like, just from a conceptual perspective, these make sense. So, moving on from that, then we got X-Men First Class, directed by Matthew Vaughn.
And I love Matthew Vaughn's work.
I do too. Kingsman, Kick-Ass. I like what he does.
I think First Class is honestly one that still holds up the most.
It's weird because it's fun. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's fun. It's bright. It's colorful. The character work is really, really good.
It doesn't take itself that seriously.
It doesn't, but it still has like really good characters and really good actors playing those characters.
Yeah.
Like Jennifer Lawrence when she still cared
for a
playing
reboot.
Mystique.
For a reboot, this was like surprisingly good.
Like,
And
I actually like the reboot cast more than the original cast.
I didn't initially, because I just fucking came from that era where, of course there's Hugh Jackman, but there's like, you're talking about Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. You're talking about, what's his name? The dude who played Cyclops. You're talking about Famke Janssen as Jean Grey. You're talking about fucking Frasier. What's his name?
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer's still the best Beast.
As Beast.
Beyond question.
Like, even though Beast only showed up in X3, like, still, fucking great casting choice.
But like,
they just had a lot of really, really good casting choices in the original cast, or even Halle Berry as Storm. Like, I fucking love Halle Berry. She's a good actress. She does not get good stuff to work with. Let's put it that way.
That's fair enough.
But
I think I think works for me though is because, especially when you compare like First Class compared to the original couple movies, the fact that it feels like the characters in First Class and even Days of Future Past are given a lot more to do on an emotional character building level than Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart were, who were basically much like, we are the leaders of our respective organizations.
Yes. No. It's very Days of Future Past is very much a movie about the fact that, the original, it was basically a one last chance for the original cast to come back and be like, hey, remember when our characters weren't shitty?
I mean, Days of Future Past is honestly still kind of my favorite one.
I fucking love it.
Yeah,
I fucking love
That's
Days
my favorite
of Future
one
Past.
of the, like, I watch them multiple times, so it's every time. The empathy speech alone, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it has a great... It really encapsulates a lot of what makes the X-Men great, and that's when they brought Bryan Singer back to the helm, which... at the very least, he gives a shit about the characters, and he gave a shit about that cast working out. Mm-hmm. Then we got to Apocalypse, which was a weird thing.
I don't hate Apocalypse as much as a lot of people do.
Neither do I. But at the same time,
it's still not great.
It's not the greatest movie. I still love the fact that, and I just saw it last week, so... I love the fact that there's one scene where they're coming out of a showing of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, but the second one was great. It had like a really dark tone to it and all that stuff. And they're like, but the first one was better. It was like more colorful and fun and bright. And they're like, well, at least we can all, I love how we can all agree that the third one's the worst one.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
just so on the nose. Call yourself out. So here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. The weird thing about X-Men Days of Future Past is that it's actually written by the guy who wrote X3.
Interesting.
It's just executed properly.
Huh.
And the story is also done by Jane Goldman.
Well, like, there's
and who has worked with Matthew Vaughn, and Matthew Vaughn is on it too. Like, the story was worked on by 3 people, and 2 of those
originally-
people are good.
Yeah, it's because Vaughn. This is what Vaughn originally wanted to do. That's where they got the idea from. But
Yeah.
then he left to do Kingsman.
Yeah, and then they got Bryan Singer,
and then they basically they said,
So
no, we
great.
want to do Days of Future Past now.
Yeah. So then for Apocalypse, you have Michael Dougherty, who helped write X2, but also helped write Superman Returns. But also helped write Krampus.
It's a hodgepodge there.
And the screenplay for Godzilla King of the Monsters, which, let's admit it, is kind of stupid as shit.
It is, but
It's
you're
a
there.
stupid fucking script.
But you're there for the monsters of the
Oh
main
yeah, you don't
characters.
care. I fucking love that movie. But we can't deny. My favorite part of the movie was when like that one character goes to basically explain why they're going to destroy the world, and while they're having this impromptu conversation with this whole organization, it's cutting to footage of the problems they're talking about, and it's clearly on the screen she's talking through.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a
I wasn't looking
presentation prepared to
PowerPoint,
show these
yeah.
videos while where did you get the footage of pollution and overpopulation?
Like Jerry, PowerPoint,
yeah,
Jerry.
like how much did you plan this out? How rehearsed is this speech? How much time did you have in your dire mission to like just stop and
Well, there's
like,
a
put
long
together
gap
a
of time
presentation.
between helicopter and phone calls. So.
But they had a mission to work on. It wasn't like she would be like, I want to talk to them, but give me a few minutes to look up some cool video clips to put with it. I need some Getty stock images. Like, no, fuck that. It was stupid.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Days
So
of Future Past,
Michael
right.
Dougherty, and then fucking dumbass X3 writer again, and then Bryan Singer was also a part of it. So he helped do the story. But Simon Kinberg himself, the man who wrote X3, wrote X-Men Apocalypse. Like, he is solely responsible for the screenplay. So, yeah, much worse mix of people going into that. Much spottier record. But I somewhat enjoyed it enough.
There's some parts I like about it.
It wasn't terrible. I still feel, even though I love Oscar Isaac, I feel weird about his casting.
Yeah, I honestly, my favorite part of Apocalypse is just the one blooper where they have like Angel turning into like Archangel for the first time, and you see the blooper, it just goes ah as he's doing this, and then Oscar Isaac just goes, I like him. Wait, hold on, I like him. He's funky.
I haven't seen that.
My favorite, like, honestly,
seen
like,
the
I
blooper
just, that's the only part I really remember about Apocalypse. Like, visually, it had more going on than this movie, than
Look,
Dark Phoenix does.
It was basically meant to be a big budget, like, it was meant to be like a big budget ending to the trilogy. It was meant to be a sort of, Infinity War, if you will. Like, this is a climactic battle, which could mean the end of the world. And I was honestly really surprised by the scale of what they were doing.
Yeah,
like when he augmented Magneto and Magneto started pulling shit from under the world, and it just,
I mean, good
huge
ideas, bad
fucking
execution.
spirals
Yeah.
of like the metal. It was a visual showcase, and it did pretty well. And honestly, I think the problem is that these X-Men movies kept it somewhat surface level. It never dove as deep into the character drama as the original 2 X-Men movies did.
Or even like Days of Future Past or First Class.
Days of Future Past only went so far.
It knew where to keep the focus, though.
It knew where to keep the focus on Wolverine, but as far as character development goes, it didn't really go that deep. It didn't
I don't know
really
if I
focus.
agree with that, because again, Xavier really does take the spotlight in that and emphasize part of the character that had not been explored up to that point.
Sure. Kind of. You show him like he's lost faith in in himself in the future, and then throughout the script he has moments where he regains faith in himself. Like,
Well, it's not just about that.
That's the whole character
It's just
arc.
like the actual burden of his power set and like how he thinks of it as like a burden, and then he finds out that it's
Sure.
actually a gift in that regard.
That's
he
good.
He has a pretty good arc in the film.
that's good in that sense, but that's 2 points. It's nothing. It is a very surface level script.
I don't
It
like,
does well, but it's a surface level script.
I don't necessarily
When
agree,
you
but I
talk
see where you're
about
coming from.
something with the first 2 X-Men movie, you're talking about every character having to deal with the burdens of their.
That's what Keys.
I know. Where are you kicking them?
I don't know. There.
Every character has the burden of their powers. Every character has that explored. Every character has their backstory. Every character has their relationships with each other. Days of Future Past has that with one character.
I would say also like Magneto and Mystique also have like an arc through the film as well.
Sure, but it's still not a very complex arc. It's not
necessarily need to be to pay off though.
I'm saying it's not as good as the originals, because the originals were better movies.
See, I don't agree with that though.
Why?
Because again, like if you're looking back at it now, a lot of the performances are really bland. And again,
really.
like the one that had the most arc in the original two X-Men movies was Wolverine. Like,
sure,
like he was like,
but it was done well.
It was done well here too. First, maybe it's this way. I found
yes,
stuff that
but
happened.
There was more to them.
Not really, because what do you really learn about, like Storm, or Jean Grey, or Cyclops, who are all just kind of there for majority of the first two movies?
It's
so you have the same problem, just in a different movie.
Somewhat, but I still feel like it was a more adult film.
And I maybe disagree on that point, because I thought the drama in the First Class and Days of Future Past were much more interesting to me. And
I still feel like
they caught my attention a lot more.
I still feel like First Class did really fucking well.
It did.
It did really well, and I think it did something similar to the original movies, but it did it in a way that was a little more fun.
It was a refreshing change of pace.
It was
with
more fun.
Clear character arcs. Again, like the coin bit.
Again,
from the Magneto arc was amazing.
It was a less serious take, and like I don't know if it's a matter of like the era of film it was made in either.
No, just
because
typically
movies,
Matthew Vaughn's style too.
Yes, it is, but you're also talking about. Keep in mind when the first X-Men movie came out, it was what 2000?
No, it was Days of Future First Class.
No, the original.
Oh yeah, it was about 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. That movie was.
It was of its time.
That was a year after The Matrix. Like, you have to remember that era.
I recognize that. But again, I'm looking more at like the performances and what they had to go through. Like, and a lot of the characters are just kind of there. And that's the problem that all the X movies have always had.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree there, because I really don't think that. I feel like the danger felt more present in that, as opposed to it being like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, it felt like a more pervasive social danger. Because it really was about the idea that mutants need to be eliminated. And there is some of that within First Class, but then it's like, oh.
I can see where you're coming from in that regards. Again, in the case of First Class, I see where you're coming from as far as that goes.
Also, Magneto hadn't turned all bad yet in First Class.
Like, that's what I was going to say. It's like, I find the character drama much more interesting in First Class than I ever did in the first two X-Men films.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's the real thing that I get more out of the first X-Men movie, which is the first two, which is simply the interaction with the government was more developed, and you had the whole Magneto versus Xavier side of it fully developed already. Like, that was a premise of the film. So you had the weird three-sided battle where
I can see that
everyone's an enemy with each other on some level. So that was interesting, but I think X2. I feel like First Class is better than X2, but the first X-Men and First Class were pretty much on the same level in different ways.
I would say I'm going to say agree, disagree on that.
All right, fine. Yeah. In any case, Apocalypse doesn't do well.
We can agree on that.
Apocalypse is
Let's give one of those videos. I was going to say the Dark Phoenix review starts here.
Yeah, right.
Because it's been like half an hour just talking the other X-Men films.
Sure. But if we're talking about Apocalypse, it feels like a dip in quality. It feels like a dip in substance.
Yeah, for sure.
From Days of Future Past. It doesn't necessarily feel like a dip in quality per se.
No, because again, the cinematography is still good. The set pieces, just
the effects are good. Like, it feels
just
like
on their own are good. It just, as a whole, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it feels like a trilogy ender, but it also feels like if you haven't watched the other movies, you're not going to get anything out of this.
No, even if you did,
it is absolutely dependent on all the stuff from the previous movies. And you caring about the characters from the previous movies. At least it doesn't do injustice to the characters, though.
I disagree. Jubilee never got a chili dog. I am very offended.
Where was Jubilee in that movie?
She's in there.
Where?
She comes out of the theater at the Star Wars.
Oh, that was Jubilee.
Yeah, she apparently had more stuff to do, but they cut most of her scenes.
Oh, that's too bad. I fucking loved Jubilee back in the day. Wow. I am happy we got more Colossus in the Deadpool movies.
I know.
I've always loved Colossus.
I was just gonna bring that up, especially like Deadpool 2. I was like, how did it take 7 goddamn movies to finally get a Juggernaut and Colossus fight? And it's in fucking Deadpool!
Yeah. And also, the one gag in Deadpool 2 about the X-Men cast.
Yeah.
I fucking loved that. That's just a great self-aware joke.
I don't think Deadpool 2 gets enough credit.
And I feel like it does certain things that are shockingly good.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so Apocalypse was decent. And then I don't know what happened. I guess Bryan Singer once again,
was asked
instead of making his Dark Phoenix movie, went off and made his Queen movie.
Well,
was he asked to leave because he still has a career? No one's shut him down properly over all of these fucking allegations, even though apparently it's a...
I was gonna say, didn't he get criminal charges?
Did he?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem to have fucking affected his career at all.
I'm pretty sure he's got criminal charges pending.
I don't know. I fucking hope so. People need to fucking be... Just
punished.
because you're rich and famous doesn't mean you should be allowed to get away with this fucking shit.
No, I agree.
But at the same time, I don't want to say, like, you know... I can't deny that he's a good filmmaker on a certain level. Like, he's brought us a lot of good shit. I'm not saying that I like him. I'm saying that I liked him for a while and then found out some fucked up shit, and I still like the movies because...
Oh, apparently he just settled.
Of course he fucking did.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
Bryan Singer's no longer in the movie. So, what are we gonna do with Dark Phoenix? Well, let's give full creative control to the man who brought us X3.
Did they fucking really?
Simon fucking Kinberg is not only the principal and only writer, he's the director.
Oh Lord, that explains so much.
He's the director. And this was the moment.
That explains why they just rehashed the same idea.
I think it was on camera in another fucking review that we did a while ago where this was brought up. And I was like looking at my phone, and in this car I discovered that it was actually done by him. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Oh yeah, he also wrote Fan 4 Stick. This makes sense.
Oh God.
And Jumper.
Oh God.
Also the screenplay for the original Sherlock Holmes movie, but you know, that's not terrible, and it was directed by Guy Ritchie, who is a fucking talented filmmaker, so you know.
As long as he's not touching King Arthur. Or Aladdin.
That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he also brought us the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
It's very true.
So like, I can't.
It's a very mixed bag.
No, honestly, Guy Ritchie brought us Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and then he made a few minor ones, like I think Revolver was one,
and Aladdin,
Rock and Rolla, and he made that stupid Swept Away remake with Madonna because he was married to her.
Oh yeah, that was the thing.
Then he made the Sherlock Holmes movies, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and King Arthur, I guess.
Yeah.
Did he make fucking Aladdin?
He made the new Aladdin movie.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And it's so weird, because it's like the most restrained you've ever seen Guy Ritchie in a film, but at the same time, he also like, I don't know how to do musicals. So there's a lot of, like, look at the choreography, a lot of the dancers like, I don't know, just have them, like, wave their arms around and shit.
Oh, my God.
The only time it works is A Friend Like Me, oddly enough.
Oh, boy.
I will say, had no idea what he was doing.
Was it similar to watching the first Thor movie where, like, most of the movie is clearly a decent character drama directed by Kenneth Branagh, and then there's action sequences that are directed by completely different people?
No, I mean, even the action scenes are Guy Ritchie. It's really bizarre.
No, I mean, like, the musical sequences. There's something about it that feels disjointed.
It's so weird.
Okay.
It is such a weird movie. But anyway, so
all right.
Now a half hour into this video, we can finally talk about Dark Phoenix.
from the man who wrote Fan Four Stick.
Like, okay, let's break this shit down, because, like...
All right, here we go. You've
So-
seen it more recently, so I might need you to refresh my memory.
My feelings are more fresh on the topic. But yeah, this movie is so slapped together.
Sorry, just scrolling down through IMDb and seeing the first user review. Oh yeah, it is that bad.
No, it's pretty god-awful.
All right, let's do this.
So, here... This movie is such a goddamn mess, and it's so bizarre. Nobody wants to be here. You can just tell everyone looks like this is contractual obligation written on everyone's face. Even Michael Fassbender, who has given his best to some shitty material, even has some. Sophie Turner is doing her best.
Yeah, I really like Sophie Turner, but this is not.
No, this is not it.
She's doing her best with the direction she's given, but given the director.
And here's the thing about Dark Phoenix as a storyline. Now, one, it's incredibly hard to adapt because it's all like in space. It's all like Shi'ar Empire and all these kind of weird complex comic book shit. And I guess like the original one was like the original script for this was gonna delve more into that than they like chickened out for whatever reason because it's Fox. But they apparently they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. So there's still fucking aliens in this movie. Who are the central villains? Who are, I guess are like the Dabari or something like
they're
that.
The Krull.
No, they're not.
They were meant to be the Krull.
But they're not.
But that's what they were intended to be.
But they're not.
But that's what they were intended to be. There was supposed to be a reveal. Where there was supposed to be a fucking reveal.
No,
where, what's her face?
I believe you. Now here's the thing. I believe you that it was
Jessica Chastain was supposed to reveal that they were the Krull.
I believe you that's what they originally meant to do. That's not how it actually happened. They picked the most obscure I didn't even know who these people were. I had to look it up. They picked the most obscure fucking alien species like in Marvel Comics who look like giant walking asparagus. I'm not kidding. And I'm not kidding here.
What are they called?
The Dabari.
The Dabari.
And they are in exactly one panel of the original Dark Phoenix story. One panel.
They're so obscure, all I'm getting is results for Dubai.
You can look up Vuk, V-U-K. That's who Jessica Chastain plays. Although I didn't know it from the movie. Like, I don't even know if they say her name. Again, they do like once or twice.
At the beginning.
Exactly.
Oh, the Dabari. There's no U. It's an apostrophe.
Yeah.
Okay. From Earth 616.
That's standard Marvel Universe.
Oh god, just seeing screenshots from this are reminding me of terrible moments.
But yeah, so like instead of going like if you don't even necessarily do Dark Phoenix with the aliens, you can do it without as long as you maintain like the moral complexity and the gray area of it. Of our friend's gone evil. We don't want to kill her, but we might have to, otherwise they might fuck everything else up. But instead, no, it's the aliens' fault. Aliens are bad. These Groot-looking motherfuckers who can turn into emotionless, boring villains. Like, just the most boring goddamn... Yeah.
This is what they looked like.
Oh, no, this is the worst picture in that same article. Keep going down.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's an asparagus. All right, well...
So that's the main villain of the movie, are these fucking nobody aliens that nobody gives a shit about, played in, like, the most boring villain performance in any X-Men movie I've seen.
They didn't even give him his Joker suit, like...
Well, hold on, that was in Captain America. He was an agent, like a secret agent at the time.
Sure. Okay, so,
And like that's our villain.
Oh, God.
That gone is the moral complexity of the issue of we might need to kill our friend, but we don't want to kill our friend. Like for obviously we don't want to, but there's no going back from this.
Yeah.
Because like the original one, she just destroys fucking planets.
Well, that's the thing about it. Like,
And this-
back to the whole Krull thing. Apparently, that was supposed to be something that that was the original concept, but then they scrapped it and kind of changed the writing and the ending.
Like this thing is rewritten and reshot so many goddamn times.
Oh boy.
Like this movie went through, like almost the entire film was reshot from its original interpretation. I'm not kidding. Even Sophie Turner said, yeah, these scripts are rewritten every day on set.
Oh.
So this was a night. Like honestly, this would make a case like I'd watch a documentary on the making of this movie because it might be like up there with the third Hobbit in terms of we are making this up as we go along.
But I'm
and
not
it
paying
fucking
for
shows.
it. I don't want to buy it.
Fair enough. But like, it shows because everyone looks frustrated. Everyone like has no chemistry with each other. Nobody wants to be there. Like only a few people are trying. Jessica Chastain is giving the laziest performance of her career. And the action.
She's supposed to be an emotionless alien, so she just goes around talking like this.
Like, cause that's interesting.
This is how I emote because I do not understand human things.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And the fight scenes, at least until like the train sequence at the end, which is the only decent fight in the movie. Even that's not a lot of problems.
The fight scene that's really publicized in the trailers and everything is okay.
It's better than the rest of the film, the shots in the movie. Where like,
well, here, okay, let's nail down a few things.
So broken, like so weirdly shot.
Let's nail down a couple things. Okay, we're going broad with this, talking about how terrible it is. Let's get specific.
Okay.
Let's get into the fact that I really don't appreciate their portrayal of Professor X in this movie.
Neither do I. It does feel like kind of like a portrayal of his character for the last couple movies.
Professor X has the most important thing in his life has always been the school and brokering the peace and making a livable future for his mutants. And one of the ongoing threads in the movie is the idea that Professor X has become so addicted to the fame and the recognition and the validation that the X-Men have gotten and that he has gotten as a consequence is basically clouding his judgment.
Which is just stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. Not just like... It's not like, oh, this is a different take on the character. Like, this doesn't even make sense, according to the previous movies.
No.
It doesn't work. And it just doesn't fucking work. And the fact that there's this ongoing thread through the movie where, Jean Grey starts talking about how, we need to leave because... Mystique starts talking about, like, we need to leave because... he's losing sight of what this is.
He sold out, man. He started working for the man.
And why don't we just, leave our cause and just go and live a life? Which is believable on a certain level, but on another level of it not being anything like what Professor X does, it's not believable.
No.
It doesn't make sense. And I understand that Mystique and Beast have their connection, being the last members of the First Class, but when I'll be
it's
fair.
In the trailer, so it's not.
I'll be fair. Fucking Jennifer Lawrence, that point where she's walking up to Jean, trying to like urge her to that she's her friend and that she cares about her. She actually put something into that.
Into that one particular scene.
Yes, I felt like that was a real moment of empathy from the character, and. To be fair, it's a shittily written moment.
Oh, it's a horrible script.
It's so poorly written, but somehow Jennifer Lawrence still sells it. And then
Jennifer Lawrence is a damn good actress, and like performances in First Class and Days of Future Past are still really damn good.
Yes.
But it's amazing how much of a drop that goes from Days of Future Past to Apocalypse, where she just does not give a shit.
You can tell they don't care. And when she gets fucking blown away and dies, she gets impaled on a fucking piece of broken wood from a house, and which was kind of shockingly gory for a PG-13.
Yeah,
like it wasn't gory, but there was a lot of blood and someone who was impaled, and you see it.
There's a couple parts in there. It was like, all right, calm down, edgelord.
Yeah,
like
right?
there was that, and there was a whole Scott going, I will fucking kill you. I'm like, all right. Much edge. Good lord. All right, stop.
Definitely, like, you could tell the actors do try and they have their moments with each other. And that's the thing. Like, you can tell when the actors are performing well because the moment makes sense for the character and they connect with it. And the points where they're just like, this is stupid, fine. and
there's a lot of those moments.
Yeah, it leads to a lot of inconsistencies throughout the film with the acting quality. And
these are good actors.
Yeah.
Like, these are all good actors, especially like James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. You have to try hard to get them to phone it in.
Yeah.
Especially McAvoy. I've watched him act the shit out of some terrible movies. Have you seen Victor Frankenstein?
No.
It's amazing, but it's only because
Heard.
James McAvoy shoots for the goddamn moon.
Yeah, I personally, my high point with McAvoy is
Split.
Filth.
I have not seen Filth.
Filth is a movie where the first half is just like a really fucked up dark comedy where you really think the main character is just a piece of shit.
Sold.
And then the second half is it not letting him get away with being that person. Ooh. And descending into like one of the saddest, most fucking depressing things I've ever seen.
Send me a link to that. I'm curious.
Throughout the film, he maintains the character's arc. Like, everything about the character that was shitty in the first half comes out as desperation in the second half, and he just doesn't know how to handle himself. And
That sounds amazing.
It is an amazing movie. It's a movie that I did not expect to like nearly as much as I did, and I watched it twice. And it's very emotionally affecting. James McAvoy's a fucking incredible actor.
He's a phenomenal actor.
And
He's one of my favorites.
this movie sucked. So
And Michael Fassbender's my favorites too.
Oh god, I love Fassbender.
So like you get these two brilliant actors to just not care. Again, especially actors who I know can bring brilliant performances out of complete bullshit.
Did you see Shame?
I did not see Shame.
Shame is another fucking incredible. I think the similarity between those two films, aside from being characters that are really in spirals, is the fact that the characters they're movies that are pretty much focused entirely on that main actor, and so you really get to see that actor shine and show how good they can be.
Yeah.
And so both of those actors have movies where they are the cast, pretty much. And not to discount Carey Mulligan's fantastic performance in Shame, but in this movie, they clearly, okay, so there's the scene at the hippie compound where Jean Grey is, trying to attack the military that's come to arrest her for some. I don't know how crazy Dark Phoenix goes.
Dark Phoenix just destroys fucking planets.
I know that. I know she ate a star. But the big thing, is there seriously a point where she just sees people and is like, I'm going to kill all of you?
Kinda, yeah, actually.
But was she that far along in the movie?
I mean, in the comics,
felt weird.
In the comics, it's a much more progressive thing.
Yeah.
Because she starts out of the Phoenix, and then eventually the Phoenix Force.
Like something you would do over the course of several films.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Like the original fucking 7-film concept from Bryan Singer.
Yeah, pretty
that
much.
I still fucking am so angry that we'll never get.
I will say before we get to that dumbass scene you're talking about, I know where you're going.
It's so stupid.
There was this the one legitimate scene I thought okay, that was actually a fairly well done scene was when Sophie Turner and Fassbender are talking in his little weird hut.
Yes.
When he starts picking up oh god, she's done something horrible.
Yeah.
And she keeps pushing her whose blood is that? And then they keep getting back and forth and he keeps pushing on it. And that was a legitimately, maybe the script wasn't there, but it was a well acted scene.
Yeah.
And Sophie Turner and Fassbender are working with each other fantastically.
Yes.
And then it's dropped for get in the chopper.
Oh my god, no, that scene where the military just comes to the hippie commune and decides we're here for her. Okay. So I don't know why she comes out and just starts trying to murk people instead of just leaving, because she can Superman off into the sky if she wants.
She could,
no problem, but she just decides to murder a bunch of
I'm gonna
people.
murder the military here.
And let's fucking the effects with the helicopter were cool, sure, but I still love imagining behind the scenes moments in these movies because you have these two great actors. You have Sophie Turner, you have Michael Fassbender, and you have a scene where the director's basically telling them, now psychic battle, and they're just like,
and you're Fassbender, imagine being holding out a massive diarrhea episode all day and you can't stop it anymore.
Oh man. But there's definitely one of those psychic battles.
I think that was the part I just sat there good fucking lord.
The part that made me laugh was they're fighting over control of the remaining helicopter because the two dudes in it start lifting off, And she starts trying to fuck with it, and Fassbender starts trying to stabilize it, and the two dudes sitting in it are just looking at them like they're not reacting to the fact that they are in a helicopter.
Well, this can go bad.
Yeah, they're in a helicopter that is clearly being fought over by two very powerful psychics. So, okay. And then Fassbender's solution, Magneto's solution, is to say, get in the chopper now, and have all of the rest of the military dudes jump into the helicopter that is currently really kind of, control of it is kind of up in the air. Yeah, they hop in it, and I partially expected him just to fling it.
I mean, it's not just far off.
I know, but he's
what he
like,
actually ends up doing.
And it kind of flies off. And I guess Jean Grey just didn't care that much about it, because she could have clearly just been like, fuck you, and just Superman'd up and just been like, and flown off. But she's just like, okay.
I would have much rather watched that version.
I guess I'll leave now. And then she just goes vertically.
Oh, and here's the part I started losing my shit.
Yeah.
Was when at that point Magneto's like, all right, she's going fucking down. Like, I'm gonna go kill her now. I'm gonna recruit my 3 people, and I'm gonna go after her.
The delivery of that scene was also good.
Which
him reacting to Mystique's death.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's fast-bending.
But then the part is he has like the showdown with like Professor X and like his 3 people, because of course you bring 3 people.
That was cool.
Yeah, like no, that part was good. That part was fine.
It was kind of tough to follow because it's a shitty director.
Yeah,
but it was done pretty well.
It's Fassbender and McAvoy working together, and they've worked phenomenally well together for the past several years.
Yeah,
and again, I still love that speech that Magneto gives, like they show off in the trailer, like. You're always sorry, Charles, and there's always a speech, and nobody cares. Which, like, well, that feels symbolic of this film.
Yeah, right.
But like, then the fight that immediately precedes that's part where I just lost it. I was like, let me get this straight. And by the way, I'm glad to see they show Cyclops actually do more shit here. I like that.
Yeah.
But like, let me get this straight. You pair Storm, the goddess of the sky, against Dreadlocks Man, who can go thwip thwip with his hair.
Yeah, Dreadlock Man was, you might as well have had them fight Toad.
I was waiting for that line. I was like, what happens to a man with dreadlocks gets struck by lightning? Same thing that happens to Toads.
Stick straight out, yeah. Oh god, that line was terrible.
And there's like the fight scenes in this movie are really awkward. Like, weirdly
some of them
awkward.
are really bad. No, that's the thing. Like, you can tell that it's just not that good.
No, and that's like the difference of quality, even just from Apocalypse, it's stark. It's like shockingly different.
Yeah. So
the point where like at least like I like Apocalypse or don't, like you're right either way. It's like you can at least say like it's visually different, visually interesting.
No, I have to revise it. This is definitely worse than Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like, as I'm thinking more about the details,
yeah,
I was thinking about just like how I was impacted about the events as they were going over me. But now I'm actually thinking about
quality-wise, it is way worse than Apocalypse.
Really worse.
Like, here's an example. Like, they're big difference between like Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. Just one quick fight scene. Like the little weird in the mind fight that Xavier and Apocalypse have in the first one. Like that. Like
oh yeah, no, that's really good.
That was a really cool looking visual. Like in this one, you have a really bizarrely shot sequence where like in Jean Grey's old childhood home, and then like a Nightcrawler like pops in there, and then the way like Jean Grey kind of like bats him around for a little bit looks really weird, and the way it's shot is just like, this looks really lazy. And even like Kurt's sound effects are like pew pew pew.
It doesn't feel good.
And like the only one I felt was even competently made was the last train sequence.
Let's hang on before we jump over to that. Let's talk about Vuk.
Okay.
Because I did find the scene where they walk out to the woods and she gets like fucking murdered, and then Vuk assumes her form and walks back into the dinner party. Like, when she caved in the husband's chest, I legitimately gasped. It's like, this is a good horror scene. This is a horrifying scene. It has the vibe of dread and all that.
It's just so in the movie.
And then you had the scene where she goes and oh god, the worst fucking line. This is when she's
the worst, in my opinion. But
she was interrogating Jean Grey's dad, and is trying to ask him questions, and he decides he's gonna ask for his lawyer or something, and she goes, "That is unfortunate. Why is that?"
oh yeah,
Because your kind's
species.
language, your species' language is so much easier to understand when you're not screaming. Ugh. Ugh.
that's still not the worst line
What?
in my opinion.
Ugh. And then she fucks his chest up, but instead of it seeming like she's pushing it in and crushing it, she twists it like the liquefy effect in Photoshop. Like
Titty twister.
it looks completely different, and it goes from being something which looks like a serious, like, it looks like bad CG. It's just like, it's so bad, and the line is so bad. What was your worst line?
Mine was at the very end where it turns from Jean Grey being the main villain to Jessica Vrook, if you want to call her that.
Sure.
Being the main bad guy. I was already against that. I was like, well, that defeats the entire fucking purpose of the Dark Phoenix story.
Sure.
The kicker for me was when they do, like, first off, like, when you rip off Ang Lee's Hulk, you have a problem. And two, when they fly up in the air and she says this, where it's like, oh, fuck you. Like, you're doing this. And
She says what?
She says, your emotions make you weak. I'm like, oh, god damn it, we're doing this.
My emotions make me strong.
Yeah, and that's it, like, from the minute anyone ever says that line, you know immediately where it's going.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad.
And now
lines.
and again,
Bad
it's so woodenly delivered. Even
yeah,
in movies
it's-
I like where they do
it is
that, it's like, oh lord.
Absolutely the excuse for the constant Michael Bay 360 pan around the character as the special effects flare everywhere. It was visually stunning. If you get the chance to see this in like a Dolby thing and you still want to see it, like,
Yeah, watch it in
totally
IMAX.
watch it in an IMAX or something, because the sensory overload of it is pretty cool at certain points. Oh, speaking of which, best part of the movie, again,
Which?
fucking Quicksilver.
Who was not given a
was-
lot to do in this.
He wasn't given a lot to do with this movie, but given that he arrives right in time to save the entire fucking mansion from blowing up, and he, God, what was it? I don't know. It feels inconsistent because he arrives and time's just slowed down, and he's like, why? He doesn't seem to understand what's going on. It's not like he got there and he sensed an emergency and decided to slow down.
Well, like, I think the
Or
idea is
speed
that
up.
he's always moving that fast, which is something that actually is from the comics,
Sure.
which is actually how they used to justify why he's such an asshole.
Okay.
Because he was like imagine that everything is always moving in slow motion,
Yeah.
and you have to wait what feels like 2 hours just for someone to finish off a sentence.
Yeah.
And imagine that's your entire life.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be pissed too?
Yeah, I would be an absolute prick. But that's like if you compare this to his previous slow motion scenes, because every like since Days of Future Past, each movie has had him do some kind of slow motion rescue scene, which is hilarious because it basically means in those moments, if the X-Men didn't have him around as a Deus Ex Machina, all of them would be dead.
I know, right? Like, that was the part that always baffled me about the last two movies. Like, why don't you just bring him everywhere?
Yeah, right.
Like, especially like this one makes even less sense. Like, he's part of the X-Men. You just have to ask him.
Yeah.
It's not like he's even gone or away. He's like,
So-
Cam taking from mom, but like, he's right there.
So you have the whole thing where he shows up at the compound and does the whole slow motion rescue of everybody in the compound, which was a great scene. It was a really fun scene, and especially like, you know how it does the static camera in front of the face as he's running fast kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll have someone with him. So when he had Beast let.
Yeah, it's
But then they
great.
do it again when they have the dog with the pizza. They have a
I don't remember the dog with the pizza.
They have the pug.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
he saves everyone in the whole mansion, and he does shit like, someone is flying backwards when they were holding the fish bowl, and the fish is in the air. So he grabs the fish bowl, gets a bunch of the water,
Yeah.
gets the fish in it, hands it to the person, and then grabs them and takes them outside. But there's a moment where there's a dog eating some pizza that's fallen on the
That's
ground.
right, yeah.
And he goes and he grabs a slice of pizza for himself, And then he gets the dog with the slice of pizza in his mouth and runs outside in super fast motion, and it does the close up, and the dog's face is just like with the pizza hanging out of its mouth. And it's stupid. It's a cheap laugh, but it's fucking charming.
Yeah,
it's
it had personality.
Really, really charming. And it's you know, Quicksilver is just that. I like that actor. He does a good job with what he has.
Yeah.
And he plays the character well, and it has this weird charm to it.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree.
That definitely added a lot.
But again, like he is just a Deus Ex Machina. I was like, I don't know why you just don't bring him on every mission. He seems like he is so useful in all the things. Like at least in Apocalypse, they kind of like justified why he couldn't just solve all the problems there. But, But yeah, like. Oh, and can we talk about Nightcrawler for a second? Because
wait a minute. I saw the things back to back. What I'm talking about
that was
is
the Days
from
of Future Past.
What?
The mansion, the thing with the pug.
It was?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Because that's where they had the mansion and all that stuff.
No, the Days of Future Past scene was when he was breaking them out of the Magneto out.
No, that was First Class. Wait, no, you're right.
He wasn't in First Class.
You're right. Sorry. The mansion was in Apocalypse. Sorry.
It was an Apocalypse?
Yeah.
What was the slow motion scene in this one?
Just the space scene. That was it.
No.
Yeah.
See, the problem is that I hadn't seen the movies, so I literally watched Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix last week for the first time.
Okay.
So I'm mixing them up. But Apocalypse, it makes sense because Apocalypse would have blown up.
Yeah, it's because when Havoc dies.
Yeah, it is, and that's when. Yeah, because that's when. Yeah, you're right. That was Apocalypse. Sorry, guys. I loved Apocalypse. Apparently, there was nothing to enjoy in this movie.
One part about Apocalypse.
No, I enjoyed a lot of different things about Apocalypse, and that was definitely the best part of the movie. But this one did not have that, and I feel bad because I definitely told someone that this has a great Quicksilver scene, and I was wrong.
You've massively disappointed your friend.
I've massively just disappointed myself. They all blur together, whatever.
But yeah, but like, there's a part in the train sequence that made me just like, oh Lord. And again, first off, the fucking government agency in this movie, like, had me rolling my eyes so far back I can see my frontal lobe.
Right, because he got batted aside by Jean Grey and hospitalized because he fucking broke everything at full speed. Okay.
Yeah. But there's there's a part in this movie where, by the way, after Jean Grey goes rogue, the government turns on the X-Men like on a dime.
Goes rogue.
I wish.
Yeah, right.
That would have been amazing. Like,
I still need to watch the Rogue cut of Days of Future Past.
Get the real Rogue in there for fuck's sake.
Yeah, right.
Not the X-Men bullshit. Anyway, like the actual comic book Rogue. We're still waiting for that day.
Sure, yeah.
The one that just like drained Captain Marvel dry and just stole their powers for a long time.
fucking the badass Cajun girl.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah,
Yeah, right. No.
Get that with a Gambit. That'd be awesome. I'd watch that movie.
God damn it, that would have been so great.
But anyway,
Gambit and Rogue in their own fucking movie.
But anyway, so the acronym for this government agency that's here to track the New Mutants is the MCU.
No,
I'm not fucking kidding.
I didn't even notice that.
It's on their shoulders. And
Mutant Capture Unit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's called the MCU. And here's the kicker. This is what. This is the part I just rolled my eyes so far back. It was sorry, I didn't mean to spit on you. Where he looks at Nightcrawler and just goes, "My kid used to be such a fan."
Yeah.
And I'm in the back of the theater going, "Fuck you!" Because I'm like, "Fuck you, Fox." He's this overconfident bullshit. And then, of course, then that soldier dies, and Nightcrawler's over him like, "No, please don't die." And I guess the death of this one soldier is just enough to drive him over the edge.
I think there's also, what was it? It's also the logic of this movie in terms of the writing of it. The idea that Jean Grey goes nuts, and all the X-Men are trying to stop her. What part of who in the government was like, you know what? Fuck all y'all. Like, all of you people who are the most equipped to stop this woman, we're gonna lock you down.
Who was the president in the 90s?
Which 92?
Was
that 92, right?
Was that Reagan or Bush?
That was Bush.
Okay, that's probably why.
I don't know, man. So, yeah, that sucked. And then I feel like this movie is way shorter than there's not a lot going on in it. It goes very briskly from thing to thing. Oh, how about when the kids decided to call her Phoenix?
Oh yeah, I will say if I have to give this one movie one bright spot, it did provide the most comic accurate Dazzler that I never saw coming.
What?
Dazzler.
Which one's Dazzler?
She's the one that has the forest concert.
Oh,
the white suit with the makeup. I was like,
okay, okay.
It's
for like a minute,
but I didn't see it coming. Like if I'm trying to be nice in any way I can with this movie.
Why?
Like,
I tried and it failed me. So we get to the train scene in the end, which is a pretty cool fight sequence. It's pretty well structured,
and also
the way that they bring Jean Grey back around is really stupid.
And see, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That one.
Yeah. But the way they bring Jean Grey back around to being like a good person is kind of stupid.
Yeah, no, it was a cheap cop out.
And then I mean, the whole logic, I understand that she's going crazy and everything, but the whole logic of, you know, you lied to me, you betrayed me, everything you've told me is a lie. It's like, look, I'd be upset, but literally forgetting everything good that this person has ever done for me for my entire life, just because he didn't tell me my dad was alive, and my dad is clearly a prick.
Yeah.
Like, I would come out of that house being like, I understand.
Yeah.
That guy's a dick. So, you know, I'm still not happy with what you did, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like the way that goes, not, I'm going to kill everybody that I love.
And more important, like a Dark Phoenix climax should be so fucking easy. Just have Dark Phoenixing up the place, and then all the X-Men and everyone fight at the same time to stop her. It could be badass. It could be awesome. I don't want them to fight a train full of people in suits that do Skrull but not Skrull things.
Yeah.
Who all look like
and then,
cheap knockoff Groots.
Skrull. I said Krull, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
What are the Krull from again? Isn't that like a? Wait a minute. God, my brain is mush right now.
It's probably like a seafood.
It sounds like a Conan thing. It sounds like an Arnold Schwarzenegger character.
It kind of is.
Wait.
Do you remember this?
What a weird thing to mix up into there. I don't even know this movie.
I mean, to be fair,
this can't be what I was thinking about. There's nothing else. Where did this come from? How did this get in my mind?
I don't know. I mean, Skrull, Krull, it's only one letter away.
Whatever. They're all lazy with their naming conventions anyway.
It's comics.
Yeah, so cool. That's a thing that happened. Sure.
I really don't have much else to say about
I don't
this.
either. The ending is stupid.
It's a new beginning. Like, yes, but not in the way you think.
Yeah, fucking, I don't know. It's done. It's just not a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's written by a shitty filmmaker. It's directed by a shitty writer directing his first movie. And,
what a bad way to start off, man.
He's had a shitty career.
Yeah.
He's a bad writer. He writes bad things. The only way that his stuff gets translated into, like, decent, watchable, entertaining stuff is when you have a good director and good actors on it who know how to, you know, work their way through something subpar and actually make something cool out of it. It has the basic structure of things down, but when it comes to actually, you know, making the characters make sense or feel faithful to what's built up to this point, it fails on pretty much every front. Oh yeah, Professor X going on the train, he's like, you were right. I was wrong to try to control you guys and hide her past from her and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sorry. Like, it's betrayed everything he stood for. It doesn't make sense. Professor X's character just doesn't make sense in this movie.
Yeah, and you
That's-
everyone else knew it too.
Yeah, it's bad.
You can tell just by watching everyone in the movie going, look, man, I don't believe it
guess.
either. I'm getting paid to say this, all right? So let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
That's why I actually put up on Twitter. Got a surprising amount of feedback where I just feel like, all right, let's get this over with. # Dark Phoenix. And I got like 5 GIF replies of people like throwing roses into at a funeral or saying good luck.
Yeah. So yeah. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it sucks balls.
Yeah.
As like we've had 2 attempts at making a Dark Phoenix movie. We just can't fucking do it for whatever reason.
We could if Hollywood stopped hiring people who, you know, just their understanding of movies comes from a fucking Brett Ratner cheap shitty TV. Like, I don't want my movies coming from people who have characters that just quip against each other and, you know, get like the fucking. I don't want my shit to be the quality of the 2nd season of Walking Dead.
Oof.
Like, I don't want that to be what sets the stage for everything. And like that whole thing stands out as an example to me because I remember how bad that drop in quality was, and then I saw the YMS review of the first and 2 seasons of Walking Dead, and you know why that happened and how it came to be, and who the change in filmmaker was, and how hard they fucked over the original guy. You know, the dude who made fucking the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Like, that dude made the first season, and then they took it out of his hands and gave it to the dude who made Crash the TV show. And it shows. And when you give people who don't care and don't know how to write and just know how to put elements together in a way that kind of makes sense if you're a child, it's more damaging than to films.
Yeah.
Like, really, I do believe I'm gonna get hyper fucking uppity pretentious with this shit, but I don't really care. Like, the way I feel about movies is that a really, really good movie from someone who really cares and is trying to say something is meant to connect you to something bigger. It's not just meant to make you connect with the characters, it's meant to make you connect with what the person who made those characters is feeling and thinking. When you see a good independent movie, or even just character-driven movie in general, it's meant to connect you with that person and have empathy for them, and maybe understand or feel something for something that is outside of your normal range of experiences, or even like something that's not possible because it's not your environment or something like that.
And you can do that in a comic book setting.
You can.
Like, people have done it. Like,
Absolutely can.
I would say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 does that.
Volume 2 does some really good things with its writing and its character arcs. Like, it does really well. And it conveys a lot of very interesting things about, in a weird way, like foster parenting.
Just a lot of parenting,
even on that level,
contextualizing your relationship with your parents. I think is a big theme.
It does a lot of really good
Guardians
things,
of the Galaxy
and you don't have to throw those things away by being a comic book movie. Part of the reason that comic books are so good is because they have themes like that in the good iterations.
Yeah, and again, it's the fucking X-Men. They are a walking metaphor.
Yeah,
and it's like, how do you
concept is all about the characters.
Yeah, so it goes like, how do you have to work hard to fuck that up?
Yeah,
and in such a gigantic way.
So when people are hired to make movies like this and they just don't care about the characters and they're just trying to get them to do stupid things that make the action scenes happen, when you have things like season 8 of Game of Thrones where the events are literally there just to make another event happen. Like, the plot is built and then the dialogue is built around the plot, as opposed to originally where it felt like the dialogue was just the characters being themselves and the events evolved out of those situations. Like, it makes a big difference in not just the quality of films, but how people think about each other and how people interact with each other. And it's things like this that really upset me when it comes to, you know, squandered potential and things that are actively bad for society. So, yeah, I don't like it when movies do this. I don't like it when X3 took all the stuff that the previous 2 movies did, even though X2 had a lot of its own faults. Like, it had plenty of room to still be very good, and X3 squandered all of that. And Dark Phoenix does the same fucking thing because you got Simon fucking Kinberg, who shouldn't be directing anything. He shouldn't be writing or directing anything unless he's paired with someone better who can help him do better. I don't think this is as bad as The Last Stand, but at the same time, I think that The Last Stand had bigger set pieces.
It did.
And it had a more epic scale. And how are you going to do a Dark Phoenix movie without having an epic scale? How's the most epic thing that happens in your Dark Phoenix movie going to be you know, the initial space shuttle rescue or a fucking train battle.
Yeah.
Like, there are train battles in fucking westerns. And yeah, they don't have all these mutant powers and shit, but it's a train battle. That's as big as the scale gets. The stakes don't feel that high. It doesn't make sense. It's a waste of a movie.
Yeah.
You're gonna get your fun, stupid shit here and there, but overall, it is definitely a missed opportunity.
All right. Well,
So
I think it's a good place to wrap up because I think we talked for like an hour and 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sucks balls.
to be fair, the review was like half of that.
True. Yeah, that's very true. And then next week is going to be a rough week. Next week is Men in Black, Shaft, and The Dead Don't Die.
I'm gonna be watching The Dead Don't Die and Men in Black.
I think
I have tickets for Men in Black on.
I think I have Matt signed
Tonight.
up for Shaft.
Okay, well, good. Let him get shafted. I'm gonna get
Neuralized.
Men in Black. Did
That sounds pornographic.
I'm sure that's out there.
Well, it's not doing great review-wise, so we'll see how Men in Black goes. Do you
We'll
want to know
see.
where it's at?
No,
Okay.
I'll go and clean and then look afterwards and be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go eat lunch, so.
All right, man.
Thank you guys for watching. See you later.
See ya.